What up? So this video is probably going to be a lot shorter than my other ones. I don't really have much to say this week, but I just wanted to document something that recently happened that I think was pretty cool. So a couple weeks back, I was doing what I'm good at. Complaining. And I was complaining about having writer's block. Basically, I'd been writing pretty much every day for a month and I was getting nowhere. I couldn't finish any of my scripts. I would write about a certain topic, hit a roadblock, try to power through, get nowhere, change topic, write, hit roadblock. You see where this is going. And so instead of trying to finish any of those topics, I just decided to make a video about having writer's block. And in that video, I said this. I mean, look at this. 22 pages. 22 pages of writing and nothing to show for it. 22 pages and nothing to show for it, huh? Well, if you've been watching this channel, you know that if there's one thing you can bet your mortgage on, it's that Fif Badaki is always wrong.
So how are you wrong this time, Fif?
I'm glad you asked. Well, it comes down to this whole nothing to show for it claim that I was making. Because last week, I put out a video called Truth and Empathy 2, basically, I'm a giant hypocrite.
That's a great title.
Thank you.
Because it's true.
How so?
Because you're a giant hypocrite.
Moving on. Anyway, you're probably thinking to yourself, so what? You made another video. Big whoop. And you're right, it's not that big of a deal. Except it is, because where do you think the idea for that video came from? I'll give you a hint. It was part of those 23 pages that never came to fruition.
That's not really a hint. You just gave us the answer.
Shut up. Look, the point is that I wrote 95% of that script during that month I was experiencing writer's block. Remember this cringe-inducing attempt at comedy? Then you don't understand the level of betrayal that I felt after watching those final 3 seasons. I don't think any human being that I have actually physically interacted with in my life has so flippantly and so flagrantly betrayed my trust as much as these guys did.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are.
Or how about this? I mean, imagine you have this beautiful, intricate map of this world that's just filled with detail to the point where you can see every building, every road, every person on this map, along with the backstory of how everything that was placed on this map came to be there. Yeah, I basically wrote all of that 2 months ago. So to reiterate, in the midst of what I would consider peak levels of frustration, at least for me, I ended up writing the majority of a script for a video that I wouldn't put out for another 2 months, all while thinking that everything I did that month, everything I wrote, everything I experienced was a huge waste of time and would never be used. And I don't know, man, I just think it's pretty cool how even though I couldn't see it at the time, I ended up doing something back then that was eventually gonna help me out down the line. How even though all I could see were roadblocks and all I could feel was frustration, 2 months later I can look back and realize that that wasn't actually just a huge waste of time, that I actually do have something to show for it. And the coolest part for me is that this was easily one of my favorite videos to make, if not my out and out favorite. I mean, whether it's good or not isn't really for me to say, but what I can say is that I did have a lot of fun actually making it. Sure, it was a lot more actual editing, which meant it was a lot more tedious and I had to spend a lot more time actually looking up how to do certain things, but I think all of that just contributed to the sense of accomplishment that I felt when I finally got through it all and posted it. It was kind of like the closing of a cycle, as if the cycle started with that month of writer's block and ended with me posting that video. And I just think that's a pretty cool thought, that immensely frustrating period of time resulted in me making one of my favorite videos. And I just hope I can keep that perspective as I try to deal with all the other frustrating aspects of my life, because I am not out of the woods yet, nor do I think I'll ever really be. There'll always be roadblocks and there'll always be frustration, and I can't say whether those things will always lead me to a better place like they did this time, but I do hope that they will. And maybe just having that hope will help me to actually get through that frustrating time. Like, hey, I know all of this is pretty frustrating and it feels like there's a roadblock everywhere you turn, but remember when you felt exactly like this that one time and then 2 months later you posted your literal magnum opus? Well, what if something like that happens again after you make it through this? And maybe that'll be enough for me to grit my teeth and get through it without resorting to all my harmful and counterproductive coping mechanisms. But to be fair, I also need to keep this perspective in perspective, because ultimately I'm still just talking about a month of writer's block, which, let's be real, isn't that deep in comparison to some of life's more consequential curveballs. And when those frustrations get dialed up to 11 in situations that are way more significant in nature, like the stuff most people have to deal with, you know, careers, relationships, life aspirations, children, etc. Who knows if the simple hope that whatever roadblocks I'm dealing with at that time will all mean something in the end will be enough for me to push through. It might not be, but regardless, I do want to add that simple hope that I will have something to show for getting through this difficult time to the toolbox of healthy coping mechanisms that I'm trying to develop. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for this one. Like I said, much shorter video this time, but still, if you made it this far, I can't thank you enough for hearing me out. Again, none of this is prescriptive. I'm just trying to figure out ways to become a more functional person like everyone else already is. And I think maintaining this hope could help me out a little bit. But like I said, most people are already dealing with way more impactful situations where if they were to apply what I'm talking about here, it would probably be ineffective and wouldn't do much to help them get through their own particular roadblocks. And that's especially why I want to reiterate that I am not telling anyone what to do. Again, do whatever you gotta do to make it through your own particular set of roadblocks. But I will say that I'm also hoping that whatever you're struggling with will be meaningful to you in time. I'm hoping that you'll get to a point where you look back at it and you realize that it wasn't all for nothing, that you do have something to show for it. I can't say whether that'll always be the case or not, but I sincerely hope that it is for you. But anyway, with that said, I wish you all the very best going forward. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Peace, and be easy.